The screen on my phone lights up my dark room, and a thin thread of excitement curls through my veins. Fantastically, I play around with ideas. I imagine ordering an Uber and what semblance of an outfit I'll wear over. I imagine inviting him to mine, never making it to the bedroom. I imagine us simply meeting somewhere remote, not for anything risque, but for the similar feeling of aliveness we'd feel by being outside at night underneath the city sky's 15 stars? My heart rate is quickening, my body is warming, but that may also be because of the other boy next to me in bed. My awake boyfriend of 6 years, his heat emanating, our ankles touching. Me wondering if bodily touch grants him subconscious insight into who I'm texting. 6 years ago, I'd sat on another bed with this same sweet-smiled boy, and I removed my cool, imaginary leather jacket that I'd embroidered lovingly with unattached and snatched. As dust forms on the jacket, I find that fiercely, strangely, I keep wanting to date him. But a low-lying purr in my bones never stops whispering, "You've lost something." As if my single self is as real as that open-minded BFF that went off and joined a cult. To appease the whispers, I need an exit hatch. So marking the only time I've ever followed through on a pesky Apple reminder, every 4 months I casually drop it into conversation. Funny, isn't it, how until I'm 85, I'm just not looking for a forever relationship? But about a year ago, things started to shift when I had one of my wild afternoons in San Diego's Central Library. You may not think the library is so radical, but my brown-haired, rosy-cheeked mother taught me so. At home, she gave me the Trojan horse that almost every loved one will accidentally gift to you. The one that says, "This is why I love you," with the underlying threat that their love depends on a certain set of actions. But at the library, my mother's eyes softened when they landed on the shelves. And she also taught me that this, magically, is a space where you can learn to love any story. So my eyes are soft like my mother's upon the cold metal shelves when a shiny red book lures my gaze in. And then the title hooks my attention in too, because it simply reads more. I read the subtitle, Memoirs of an Open Marriage. My fingers and wrist flick up by my side, then pull themselves back close to my body. Deep in the bookshelves of the public library, I check my surroundings. Confirm the space is clear of spies and snoops. Still pause, my eyes curiously roving the cover. Then I allow myself to step forward and reach. I'm entranced until I come across the word polyamory that reminds me of greedy men and people I assume are just perpetually unsatisfied with their sex lives. And I say to myself, oh, right, this is what this is talking about. And I set it back on the shelf. I never go back to the library to check out that book. No. As soon as I get home, I go online and hit download. I start reading nonstop in the same room as my boyfriend, looking studious, pious, while my mind scandalously imagines the possibilities. I keep wondering where this fantasy will meet reality. Is this like my aunt reading 50 Shades of Grey? Like, no way after reading that on our family camping trip did she go out and buy a whipping bench. But then a scene comes up in the book. The author goes on a date with a young sommelier, and his words, first spoken to her, then through the page to me, come through smooth, full-bodied, fruit-forward, no hints of vanilla. I'm solo poly. It means I'm my own primary relationship, so I don't intend to get married or even for my romantic relationships to last forever. But that doesn't mean I don't take relationships seriously. This book said, fuck the fairy tale, pick a choose-your-own-adventure off the shelf, because you are not the princess. You are the queen of your own goddamn country, you fearless hoe! So on a balmy summer night, Amir puts together a fire on Fiesta Island. There's the familiar awkwardness at first as we settle into what it's like to be together. We're working with a new relationship style for both of us, cultural disconnects and a language barrier. Amir, a Palestinian refugee, would get married tomorrow if he found the right person, but in the meantime, he wants to enjoy life. Tonight, he's applying an intensity that never leaves him to making sure the fire is just right, and I take in his muscular body squatting on the sand, hair shaved close on both sides, a tattoo on his neck peeking out from under his hoodie. "Do you talk to your twin sister often?" I ask. His thick eyebrows furrow. "We talk on the phone every day, like I do with all my family. What are you talking about?" I'm reminded of flying home just the past week to see my family. So excited to maybe, dare I, tell them about this man, this new way of being. To share that it strangely also has me feeling more in love with the other man they've known for 6 years, and that they now love themselves. The whole plane ride, I picture the conversation. I know my dad, with his kind, adventurous blue eyes, will still look at me with at least acceptance, at most, recognition. There's a circular, well-trodden path in the sun-dappled forest behind my childhood home, and that's where one adolescent day, along with my sister, he said, while taking in the surrounding beauty, "This is why I stay with your mother. I would have had to leave this land." This land is the safety blanket for each member of my family, and so I prepare to tell them at dinner on the porch when they'll be surrounded by it, able to look out at something familiar when I introduce something about myself that is unfamiliar. The dinner is primed. There's good food, laughter. My mother seems relaxed. But then my mother starts in on a story about a family friend, and unnecessarily she mentions this man is a cheater. Her mouth purses around this word as it always does. I tense, and a puzzle piece of this woman that I still don't understand clicks into place, and I think my mother is a product of experience, the daughter of a father who cheated on her mother, and this word hurts her the most. My mother's cruel words have become the source of my pursed lip words, and I decide that I'm not yet willing to risk that she sees something in me of the kind that she despises. So on Fiesta Island, I'm with a man my family still knows nothing of. He starts chopping vegetables with wide, capable fingers, and tells me he is making sajia, a Palestinian dish prepared for outdoor parties. Into the sizzling wok, he adds foods I wouldn't normally eat. He pulls out the fluffiest of pita breads, several dips, and shows me how to eat one of the best tasting dishes of my life. We sit facing each other, 16-inch wok between us, picking up food with pinched pita bread, and he leans forward like he has a secret to tell me. "Do you want to know why I'm so excited tonight? I've never done this, a night under the stars with a woman next to a fire. What I want to do is, I want to tell you about my life, just so you can know how special having a night like this is for me." He talks, and it seems significant that his words fall onto millions of grains of sand, that the bay is lapping against the shore softly and repetitively, that every once in a while I hear a fish jump in the water. He talks of his father waking him up in the middle of one night when he was a child, his father terrified. I reach across the wide walk and hold his hand in mine as he shares a memory of hearing shots fired, of him and his siblings hunkering down, of hearing the sound of his childhood home being bombed. The Israeli government, he says, later said they made a mistake. They thought someone else was living in that home. And in all this realness, I respond with something that's maybe inane. I say, "You make my life look easy." He cocks his head, really looks at me. "Is that so?" My eyes drift to the stars, and I know it's the setup I've been waiting for, that maybe I knowingly prompted. It's my opportunity to offer him an excuse. I want to compare the boy of a wholesome appearing family in a poor country, experiencing the real hatred of a volatile government, to the girl of a poor household in the richest of countries, experiencing the spewed hatred from an albeit loving mom. I've been wanting to say to him, maybe since I met him, here's my reason for not being entirely what you want. This is why freedom for you is being able to grow roots in solid ground, and freedom for me, it is roaming, never depending on one source for survival. But I'm having these thoughts and my eyes land on the San Diego sky. I see fog, not fates. I don't see star-crossed lovers. I see 15 stars, and my untrained eyes don't even know which are real and which are man-made. Amir's made enough food for 20, and he jaunts over to a partying group of white strangers on the beach, offering them a mysterious stew, and they accept it with cheers. Months later, a month ago from today actually, he tells me that on this morning's call, his parents urged him to find someone to settle down with, and to me, in his direct, sometimes seemingly less than thought-through way, he says, "You'll help me find someone, right?" "You think I'd help you find my own replacement?" "What?" he says. "We'll still be together." "What do you think your wife and children will think of that?" And without answers, we just laugh and ignore the dotted lines that sit between us like we're on an activity page made for children that reads, "Separate the things that are different." Luckily, all children except Netanyahu were given glue in addition to scissors. So I have myself a messy collage. I've told my parents about my new friend. I've told my sister about my new boyfriend, and then learned she has considered an open relationship, that almost all of her friends have talked about the possibility, and she knows people who do this. She made the point to me, no matter what you do, you're going to risk hurting someone. "Annalise," she said, "you wouldn't make it as a nun." The author of the book, Moore, had her own book, Kate Chopin's The Awakening. The main character says, "I would give my life for my children, but I wouldn't give myself." Strangely, it's this mentality that has me gifting myself more than I ever could before. The other day, I sent a text the leather-jacketed me would say is reckless. It said, "I miss you like the dark side of the moon misses the sun." I sent it because for the first time in relationships, I feel fiery, alive, vibrant. I sent it because recently, my boyfriend of 6 years said to me, "You are happier, I can tell." I sent it because now, more than ever, I am up.
Put your hands together for Annalise Goyne.